So what shall it be? Do you join the Unity, or do you die here?
Join.
Die!
Join.
Die!
The main antagonist of the original Fallout game is the Master, and while you only have one encounter with him, the writing is so incredibly well done here that you can essentially learn everything you need to know about him as a person through this interaction and how he acts. In particular, you need to talk him down in order to get the best view of his personality. This encounter is elevated by the fantastic voice acting of Jim Cunnings and Catherine Sushi. Because this is such a good example of writing and acting, I wanted to do a breakdown of this encounter. But first, some quick background information. The world of Fallout takes place in the post-apocalypse, many years after a global nuclear war. Before the bombs dropped, the USA was doing research into bioweapons to be used in their ongoing resource war with China. What started off as a project to make an immunity to diseases essentially turned into a super soldier program by creating a mutagen known as the Forced Evolutionary Virus, or FEV for short, with which they had done extensive testing. The soldiers at the Mariposa military base discovered what the scientists were doing and executed them. These soldiers would go on to become the Brotherhood of Steel after the bombs dropped. Many years later, there would be an expedition to Mariposa by a number of wastelanders, a man named Richard Gray being among them. During this expedition, members of the group were killed by the base's automatic security systems or were otherwise lost. Richard Gray himself was knocked into a vat of the FEV. He had more exposure to FEV than any other character in the Fallout franchise, having been stuck in the vat for several days before he could finally escape. He faced extreme mutation as a result that led to him having a far greater mental capacity, and through further experimentation with the FEV upon himself, he was able to form a neurological link to computers, giving him access to all the data and information they contained. During this time, he also tested the FEV on animals, and even humans who wandered into the base or that he had managed to capture, and even assimilated some of these mutated humans into himself. But more importantly, he began to build a super mutant army with the goal of bringing peace and unity to the entire world. One last thing before breaking down the encounter, I need to break down his way of speaking. The Master speaks with 4 voices, the first of which is his regular voice, which does most of the talking.
They brought nuclear death to us all. This will be the age of mutants.
Second is the angry voice, which seems to represent a more impulsive and aggressive side to him.
I don't have to prove anything to you!
This voice is typically used when he's threatening you, or feels very passionate or frustrated about something. The third voice is female, which appears to represent a more emotional side, as well as potentially being used as an appeal to emotion, such as when this voice is being used to ask you to join.
One able to survive, or even
Thrive.
in the wasteland. Of course.
Mutants are best equipped to deal with the world today.
Of particular note, these 3 voices will sometimes align with certain statements he has to further emphasize or strengthen his belief in the things he's saying.
The Unity will bring about the Master Race.
Master.
Master! As long as there are differences, we will tear ourselves apart fighting each other. We need one race.
Race.
Race! One goal. Goal!
Goal.
One people to move forward to our destiny. Destiny.
More importantly, the final voice, the computerized voice, doesn't do this for most of the encounter. This voice seems to represent cold hard logic. Take this line here for example.
The remainder will be allowed to live out their days, but under Unity control.
And protection.
Here the word unity is said by the robotic voice, control by the angry voice, and protection by the female voice. Unity being both the name of the Master's faction and his goal of unifying all humans through the FEV to end conflict, to have everyone be under one banner, and by the FEV expanding their minds as it did to him, and the creatures he tested on. It makes sense for unity to be said by this voice here, as the unity is the ultimate conclusion to his own thoughts on the current state of the world and how to fix it. It's something he has thought about a lot, and the unity is his logical conclusion. As for the other 2, control is arguably an act of aggression upon those who don't want to be under his control, and he might view it as a necessary evil, to keep these people from fighting back against him. Finally, protection is meant to come across as a good thing, as though it should be comforting that the Master would protect these people. With that out of the way, it's time for the breakdown of the encounter itself. It starts off with an ultimatum.
So what shall it be? Do you join the Unity, or do you die here?
Join.
Die!
Join.
Die!
The previous times I've done this in my Fallout 4 analysis, I left out this part because it's really straightforward. He's direct and to the point. Anything else would be a waste of time. Join and die being repeated at the end before you have a chance to answer also seems to be done to put pressure on you. If you decide to ask for proof, this is his response.
I don't have to prove anything to you!
Prove.
From the delivery we could tell he's arrogant, he doesn't like being questioned by those he considers lesser than him, and he's asserting dominance. Next you say you can't know he represents the best future unless he proves it, to which he responds,
Very demanding for one in your tenuous position. But I can
Respect.
your needs.
He still doesn't think much of you. Here you are standing before him, this greater being, at the heart of his empire, making demands of him by simply asking questions, but he can understand the perspective that someone may need convincing. Then we get to the heart of the Master's character.
The Unity will bring about the Master race.
Master.
Master! One able to survive, or even
Thrive.
in the wasteland. As long as there are differences, we will tear ourselves apart fighting each other. We need one race.
Race.
Race! One goal. Goal!
Goal.
One people to move forward to our destiny. Destiny.
He believes supermutants are the next step in human evolution, that he can attain world peace with his master race, able to survive, or even thrive, in the world ruined and destroyed by the humans. He believes that by unifying all humans as supermutants, one single race, that he'd be eliminating the differences that cause conflict. He believes so strongly in this that he actually calls it destiny, with real heart and conviction behind it.
To move forward to our destiny. Destiny.
He goes so far as to say that the humans that don't get converted will be allowed to live, but not to breed, outright saying that this is to end the race of mankind. Upon telling him there's a problem with his plan, the initial reaction is said entirely in the computer voice.
And what is that?
Which makes sense, as this could be a trick to deceive him, or it could be an actual problem that needs solving. Either way, the more analytical and logical side of him comes out here. Then you reveal to him that the mutants are sterile. His response is more arrogance and unshakable confidence.
Preposterous! The FEV2 virus doesn't destroy the reproductive organs of those it mutates.
He knows what he's doing. He knows he's working towards a better, brighter future, and he believes himself to be infallible. All you're trying to do is get in the way of his plans, to stop him from achieving his utopia. Then you give him the proof.
I must digest this information. One moment.
He again uses his computer voice, likely because you're giving him a holodisk and he's actually scanning it with the technology integrated into his body, but again, he's also analyzing the data it holds. But upon doing so, we get to see the most human side of the Master. Denial, anger, rationalization. His voice goes quiet.
I understand now.
His breathing grows a bit shaky.
You made a clever forgery.
He's trying to keep composure as he's trying to process the evidence. He tries to rationalize it away by calling it a forgery, his breath still shaky. He's getting angry.
You made this up to fool me. Fool!
Me.
How dare this lesser being try to trick him? There's a bare, slightly noticeable stutter.
But it cannot be.
His vision of his perfect future is collapsing. The female voice that cuts in saying, "all my work," sounds on the brink of tears.
This would mean that
All my work.
has been for nothing.
Exactly as he says, everything he's done has been for nothing. His master race wouldn't live beyond its current generation, and had he exterminated the humans as he said he was planning, that would have been the end of intelligent life on Earth. Most importantly, all four of the Master's voices align when he's coming to terms with what he's done. For the first and only time during this particular line of conversation with him, every aspect of the Master's personality aligns perfectly on this one thought.
Everything that I've tried to a failure. It can't be.
Finally, we reach the pinnacle of this interaction.
I don't think that I can
Continue?
to have done the things I have done in the name of progress and healing. It was madness. I can see that now. Madness.
His deeds weigh heavily upon him. He realized he was blinded by his own ego and arrogance, blinded by his own vision of his perfect world, that he didn't see the fatal flaw in it, and as a result, he's ruined countless lives and ended others, performed horrible experimentations upon innocent people. He is overridden with guilt, stating outright that there is no hope.
There is no hope.
Meaning for himself, for his plants, for his super mutants. In his eyes, he can't redeem himself. He can't undo the damage he's done. Then he urges you to leave, while you still have hope.
Leave now. Leave while you still have
Hope.
Because humanity, despite its flaws, despite its constant need for conflict and war, still has hope for a future. This entire interaction tells us everything we need to know about the Master, and it is the only time we interact with him in the entire game. Due to the masterful writing and performance, no pun intended, this ironically elevates the Master to be one of the most human characters in the entire franchise as a whole. Every word he speaks has real emotion behind it, from sadness to arrogance to anger to self-righteousness to regret and guilt. Because both the writing and voice acting here is so strong, the Master ends up being an absolutely fantastic main antagonist and final encounter for an already great game. On top of that, this makes for an incredibly memorable encounter, and I'd even make the argument that he's the best main antagonist in all of Fallout. That's all for now though. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and check out my other videos. For anyone new to my channel, I tend to make a variety of content, with my main focus being on long-form critique or analysis of games, movies, and TV shows. Further, I've started doing reaction videos to episodes of TV shows, where I'm usually joined by a couple of friends. I'm also a VTuber and I stream regularly, though I don't have a set schedule for that. For those of you familiar with my channel, smaller videos like this is something new I'm trying, and I'd like some feedback on it and suggestions for future videos like this, where I do a breakdown of a character, a scene, or a speech by a character. These can be good or bad. At this stage, I'd prefer examples that don't require a massive time investment, as the point is to get some smaller videos out a bit more frequently, in between making the larger analysis or breakdown videos. I do have some ideas in mind, such as Mayro from Saints Row 2, or Viserys from House of the Dragon. However, suggestions are welcome in the comments here, as well as on my Discord server. Once again, thank you for watching, and thank you for 30,000 subscribers.